Hey everybody, I'm Chad Booksam with Alternative Media Television. Israel has vowed to eliminate Bashar al-Assad if he allows Iran to continue to use Syria basically as what they're viewing as a base to attack Israel. Now, we have interesting things going on in the Middle East where in Lebanon, Hezbollah just won a lot of seats and actually probably the biggest amount of seats that they've ever had in the country. I find Hezbollah in Lebanon very interesting. Now, a lot of people probably get offended by this, but it reminds me of the Nazi Party. Not that I'm saying that they're Nazis, but what was the Nazi Party in Germany? Basically an armed militia, right? Who actually won through fair elections and became a big influence in German politics before basically they took over the country. Now, Hezbollah, it's very interesting because they are a very well-armed militia. They have won a lot of seats. They have a huge bloc. They're going to be able to influence most of the politics going on in Lebanon. They already do. They are more armed. They are more heavily armed than Lebanon's military. So when I say it's similar to what was happening in Germany during the Nazi Party, that's what I mean, because you have an armed militia who is winning elections. Now, obviously, they have strong ties to Iran. These people were trained by Revolutionary Guards, the most elite armed soldiers in Iran. This is why they're so much better than where you see these little militants running around and scattering in Gaza. Now, Israel is threatening to eliminate Bashar al-Assad from Syria if he continues to allow Iran and Hezbollah to have a presence there. Of course they're going to have a presence there. But what do we see Israel doing? They're the ones killing Iranian soldiers. I haven't seen Iran killing Israeli soldiers, but you know what Israel is doing? They're telling their people that Iran is going to get ready to launch rockets into northern Israel. They haven't done it, but Israel is saying that this is going to happen. And I'm always a little bit skeptical of this because we see all these false flags go around all the time. We see these false flags, whether it's with these chemical attacks, regardless if it's in Syria or if it's in supposedly the UK. We remember that with a former Russian spy. And now we see the conditioning of the Israeli people nonstop. I mean, the propaganda in Israel and these news outlets is pretty much how it is like here in the United States, obviously. And look, it's not that Iran isn't a regional threat to Israel and they have these, basically, they're lashing out back and forth verbally. But at the same time, you got to recall this. What Iran really wants is to have their influence. They want their government to survive. They don't want to be taken out by Israel and the United States if there was a full-scale war. That's what would most likely happen unless Russia and China really come together, especially China, not just Russia. Russia would need China to step in, which is probably the greatest fear of this World War III chessboard that we have playing out when it comes to a full-scale war. But what do we see occurring? Iran wants to ensure that they have their influence in Iraq, which they do. Iran wants to continue to ensure that they have their influence in Syria, which they have a huge amount of influence, hence the reason why they're there defending the Bashar al-Assad government. And now, look what just happened in Lebanon. What I see happening in Lebanon is basically, right now, we have a system that's set in place where, and this is probably going to change, because what's going to occur is similar to what happened in Germany, okay, in the 1930s, where this system is unfair. What's the unfair system in Lebanon? Which, you know, you can argue that it might be unfair, that the president, the prime minister has to be Sunni, okay, that the prime minister has to be Sunni, and he's going to be the one to form the bloc, basically regardless. I mean, he only won like 21 seats. This is what we're hearing. And Hezbollah and their allies won almost 50 seats. A huge bloc in parliament, but still you cannot have a Shia prime minister. Now, what's interesting, we recall Said Hariri. Remember when he went to Saudi Arabia and then quit? A lot of the people, and then he came back and then he said, no, I reneged that. I'm actually not quitting. A lot of people viewed that as pretty pathetic, kind of like traitorous to an extent. Like, why would you go and pop up in Saudi Arabia acting like you're a Saudi Arabian puppet, okay? Oh, say that you're going to resign, but you do it in Saudi Arabia. That looked as a bad move. I'm sure that hurt him in the elections. But again, Hezbollah is basically primed not to just influence all the policy decisions in Lebanon, but to eventually take it over. And they not only have the political will and the support of the people to do so, but they have the armed militants to do so as well. So Israel views this as a threat, majorly. Israel views what they see is going to be a week of hell with the movement of the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. Israel sees the fact that, oh my God, Iran is right at our doorstep. And what did Israel just say to Lebanon? We are not going to make a difference between the two. So you have foreign ministers, you have ministers in Israel saying, Hezbollah is Lebanon and Lebanon is Hezbollah. So if anything occurs from this territory, from Lebanon, from this country, we are going to act not as if we're attacking Hezbollah, a group. We're going to attack Lebanon because they're one and the same. See, they used to kind of separate the two. But now with the fact that they just gained this majority, basically, this is how a lot of people are going to see it. Even though, look, with the parliamentary bloc that you have in there's so many different groups. You have Christians, the Sunnis, you have Druze, you have other little groups. And they've basically been behind Said Hariri and probably still has the bigger bloc. But now the influence, the major influence is behind Hezbollah, and you're going to continue to see them grow. Just again, like you've seen in Nazi Germany with the Nazi Party. Now, again, I'm not comparing the ideology the same, but as far as it being a militant group, absolutely, I'm comparing the two to be the same. Now, Donald Trump, obviously, from the presentation given by Benjamin Netanyahu, he's going to pull out of the Iranian nuclear deal. We'll kind of see this already being formed. And we are going to see a either heavy strike coming from Israel in this, because what do you think? You think Iran is going to come and leave Syria? What did Israel just say? That they're going to eliminate Bashar al-Assad. Their influence is growing. Israel is getting angrier. Israel sees this as their opportunity, and they're not going to just continue to strike these forces in Iran, but Iran is going to strike back 100%, absolutely. But we have a situation where not only is Israel going to be striking Syria, Israel is going to be striking Hezbollah in Iran, because now they view it, look, this is it. This is the war that they've been waiting for, basically, eventually till they strike Tehran. And then again, you have Russia and Vladimir Putin, who just basically was inaugurated for another 6 years, and is not going anywhere when it comes to the Middle East and when it comes to pushing it back against, what he sees as U.S. aggression. And look, we're going to stay there. Israel's going to stay there, doing the same exact thing as we've been doing. And the situation just keeps getting escalated. One more thing before I wrap up here. Look, also, we see the South Korea-North Korea deal kind of getting watered down. You see these North Korean politicians basically stating that we don't like how the U.S. is bragging about the deal, that this was all them. Well, first of all, look, and this is what we've been talking about here at AMTV. We wouldn't be bragging about it so much if there really was a deal. Because, we'd like to use this little period of time and we're bragging about it. Donald Trump's going to win the Nobel Peace Prize, whatever the case might be, because there probably isn't a deal, or else we wouldn't be talking about it so much. And any deal that occurs is initiated by China, who's in the midst of even consolidating the Korean Peninsula right now. So that's even more dangerous. And watch what China does. Okay, if Israel and Iran go to a full-scale war with the backing of Russia, that alliance is the only thing, okay, that can cause the U.S. and Israelis a loss in the Middle East, 100%. Now, make sure you guys have your food storage. Click the link below. Make sure you do common sense things. Make sure you're prepared in life. We have food storage, 30 days, 60 days, 6-month supply. We have bug out bags. We have all sorts of survival equipment in our store. So click the link below, take advantage, make sure you're prepared for you and your family. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Again, my name is Chad. This is AMTV, hard hitting and in your face. God bless.